This has serious implications for the Edmonton Oilers as they find different ways to win in ways you would not expect. All that more today on Oilers Digest. As yes, a huge win last night over the Seattle Kraken, and we will recap everything or close to everything about that game. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so, folks. To the 82% of you watching these videos that haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? But for the 18 that have subscribed, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here along the ride, and which was a very up and down, as Ken Holland liked to say in one of his post-season press conferences. You know, it can go up and down, and the season is trending upwards. But without further ado, they don't ask how. Yes, last night following the Edmonton Oilers victory over the Seattle Kraken, they don't ask how, they just ask how many in a game that had close to everything that you would expect. An emergency backup goalie, Tyler Palmer, from the University of Alberta. Two instances where this wasn't a goal, and this also wasn't a goal. Normally that's automatic from Leon Draisaitl in a play from Corey Perry in which he was off to the races, and there was a whole pretty much quarter of ice there between him and the closest Seattle Kraken player. But the Oilers did take this one by a score of 4-2, extending their winning streak over the Seattle Kraken and extending their own winning streak to 3 games. But I do believe that is 8 games in a row that they have defeated the Seattle Kraken. They are 10-2 against the Seattle Kraken lifetime. So safe to say they have their number. Just looking at the scoring summary here, Eli Tolvanen opens it up 3.5 minutes into the first period. The Oilers did challenge this one as they thought John Hayden was pushed into Calvin Pickard there, but he was not. He was sort of guided in there by Brett Kulak, and that goal stood, and the Oilers had to serve a 2-minute delay of game penalty, but they did kill that off. And Matthias Janmark with his second goal of the season and his first goal on an actual goalie since Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final last year makes it 1-1. But Vince Dunn with a shot from the point that redirected off of Connor McDavid and took a couple wacky bounces off the ice. The ice was a little bit suspect last night, but the Seattle Kraken did not score after that, even though after the first period, the Oilers down in hole. Once again, many of us kind of worried. It's like, okay, another slow start, but the Oilers decided to do Oiler things, and they continue to be the best second period team in the NHL with a goal from Connor McDavid, his 21st of the year, his first point since coming back from prison there, or that's what, many around the NHL thought he was, with the way they thought Oiler fans overreacted. But it wasn't so much the overreaction at the suspension, it was anger at the officiating. But nonetheless, he is free, and he was free to score that goal last night, getting his own rebound on Joey Dacker there. The Seattle goalie was, phenomenal all season long, but the Oilers managed to find a way to solve him 3 times. And then Corey Perry, like I alluded to in the intro there, all alone from a fantastic pass from Darnell Nurse, making it 3-2 Oilers. And the whole sequence there, that 2-minute sequence, felt like 2 seconds with the way it was going back and forth on the ice, and the Oilers managed to squeak by this one with an empty net goal from Matthias Ekholm. It's not too often you see empty net, below an Oiler player name in the third period, in the dying seconds of the third period. But the Oilers did take this one by a score of 4-2. And again, they don't ask how, they just ask how many. And you can see there the power play, Seattle going 0-for-4. They didn't even register a shot on all 4 of the power plays, one of which was a 5-on-3 for a minute and a half, especially with the Oilers. Their 2 best penalty killers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Connor Brown, both in the box there. And again, Seattle not managing a single shot, and that just goes to show how dominant this Oilers PK has been since the start of the season in October, when both their special teams wasn't doing a whole lot there. But shots and goal 38-28 in favor of the Oilers, and Calvin Pickard with 26 saves and a 9.29 on the night, getting himself the first start of the game. And the both ageless wonders with Corey Perry and Matthias Ekholm both getting the second and third stars of the game. And Cal Pickard was asked about his thoughts, being a backup on one of the best teams in the NHL, a role that he wasn't in a year ago when, it was Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell and Calvin Pickard called up from Bakersfield, and he hasn't gone back there since. He said, first and foremost, it's nice playing behind such a good team, a team that knows how to win and expects to win every single night. I just have to go out there and do my job and trust my teammates to do theirs, and they've been doing that. And he was also asked about the slow starts the Oilers have had quite recently, where after the first period they'd be down by 2. Some instances they'd be down by 3, and just their resiliency to get back into the game. He said, we're an explosive team. I think there's been a lot of games where I played this year where we're down after the first, not so much. The Oilers themselves being down, but Cal Picker taking some accountability there. But we don't get discouraged. We expect to come back in games. We play really well when we're down. So after the first, it's 2-1, and it's frustrating. It's not the start you're looking for, but it was right there for us. A big goal right at the start of the second, and we got the lead and didn't look back. And that's exactly what the Oilers did. They locked it down for a good chunk of the second period after the Corey Perry goal into the third period. Of course, many times this season the Oilers have tried locking it down, and it's backfired on them. But as the season goes, they've been elevating their defensive play, and even Calvin Pickard's been, extending his own winning streak there. You'll have to go back to December 29th against the Anaheim Ducks for his last loss there. He's 9-1 in his last 10 starts there. Of course, there's that small 5-minute stint in Boston, which kind of, kind of an outlier, kind of, breaks up the whole thing. But again, 9-1 in his last 10. And Kris Knoblauch even, made mention of that too. He said Picks made some huge saves at the end to keep us in it, especially for us to take the lead in the second period. He made a couple of big saves, and we go down and score shortly after that. I think tonight we played just well enough to win, and you can sort of reiterate the played just well enough to win as the Oilers, most of them had a really good game, and then others you can kind of tell they were fighting it all night, fighting the puck, making some really poor decisions, poor decision making against a Seattle team that is not particularly good. Of course, you can't downplay the Seattle Kraken. That's exactly what the Oilers tried doing against the Buffalo Sabres, and almost backfired against them here. But looking at the natural stat trick chart here, is almost 50-50, with Seattle taking the high danger chances at 11-9. But other than that, scoring chances almost even, with 29-25 in favor of the Oilers. Shots 31-28. The Fenwick, the shot attempts, even the Corsi, 60-52 in favor of the Oilers. And even the expected goals, 3.76 compared to Seattle's 3.17. So a lot closer at the underlying numbers compared to how it was on the ice there. Because for a good chunk of the game, the Oilers dominated and they sat back, and that's why Seattle was trying desperately to find a tying goal there, but was unable to do so. That's just a lack of finish on Seattle's part, and more so, Edmonton, again, just locking it down and knowing their role. But when it comes to all four lines there, you can see the first line with Hyman, McDavid, and Draisaitl, best line of the night. The line with Janmark, Nugent-Hopkins, and Connor Brown, again, they were just fighting it all night. I mean, Nugent-Hopkins didn't have a bad game. Matisse Janmark, of course, got the deflection goal. Connor Brown with the assist. But both of them normally have really good chemistry together. But Connor Brown, again, just a very questionable game. Took a really awful penalty there, and just lots of missed opportunities for those three. I didn't also mind the Arvidsson Henrik puck holes. But again, Arvidsson with Connor Brown syndrome. Again, lots of questionable decisions, lots of bobbled pucks, lots of fumbles. And, normally there's an off game by him, so hopefully Arvidsson steps up the rest of the way. I know he will be representing Team Sweden at the Four Nations Faceoff alongside with Mattias Ekholm there, so hopefully it'll be a nice way for him to sort of rebound his game. And, of course, Kasperi Kapanen, Noah Philp, and Corey Perry. I think the Oilers have found their fourth line there. I think Noah Philp has found his two wingers, two veteran, responsible wingers with Kasperi Kapanen and Corey Perry. I mean, that's not, you couldn't see a better fit myself there for Noah Philp. But looking at the hockey stat card here, Mattias Ekholm, easily the best Oiler last night. He's been the best Oiler these past couple games. Again, just, defensively responsible, knows where to be, covers for others' mistakes. Of course, Darnell Nurse, again, another good game from him. Had that nice pass through Corey Perry for the goal in the second period there. And then you can see lots in the fan base just divided over Evan Bouchard here. You can see he's near the top of the chart here. The defensive side of the game, I thought, it was a little better than his offensive side there. He had a few play breakups there, had a few cycle breakups for the Seattle Kraken, or against the Seattle Kraken, had a few, again, nice moves there, but, he's just, again, fighting it. A lot of the Oilers were fighting the puck last night. Of course, you can see Evan Bouchard with the puck at the blue line. Again, kind of overthinking it, maybe getting in his own head. I'm a big Bouchard fan, but you can see last night just the confidence was not there, and even such it wasn't there against the Buffalo Sabres. So I don't know what Tyler Myers did to him with the cross check in the head that sort of hit the reset button and made Evan Bouchard not the elite defenseman that we saw in the Stanley Cup playoffs last year. But again, hopefully Bouchard comes back to his form against the Red Wings on Thursday night. But again, lots of other players. You can see the Corey Perry, good game against the ageless wonder, fantastic. And it just slowly starts to go down there. Brett Kulak and Ty Emberson, I didn't think they had a bad game last night. Of course, the first goal against on the Oilers, Ty Emberson was kind of puck watching, and then Brett Kulak tried to overcompensate for that. But Ty Emberson, you don't really hear his name a lot during the broadcast, and if you're a defenseman, that's a fantastic thing. That's the perfect thing. If you don't hear your name heard a lot, that means you're doing a pretty good job, and he's a key upgrade on Cody Ceci. But when it comes to the Oilers, I know many of you are wondering, well, are the Oilers, are they really that good defensively? But from NHL Sit here of Oilers Nation, he says they are, and I think so as well too. Per Natural Stat Trick, the Oilers have allowed the fewest high danger scoring chances per hour in the NHL per CSA, which is a private stats model. They still rank third in mid plus high percentage chances allowed per game. In other words, the Oilers are an elite defensive team, and that leads many to ask, well, where can they upgrade? Many are saying get an upgrade on goalie. I know lots are saying, well, with the tandem the Oilers have right now, do they really need an upgrade on the goalie? But you can see teams like Carolina, they are getting better by the day, and lots of other teams in the NHL leading up to the trade deadline will try to get better. It'll be an arms race, and I don't see why the Oilers couldn't try to get better themselves by going to get a goalie. Because if the Oilers a goalie is all they need, or a more consistent one, I should say a 1B behind or in front of Stuart Skinner, that would just be the chef's kiss. It would be akin to the Oilers going to get Dwayne Rolison at the 2006 trade deadline from the Minnesota Wild. They had UC Markin and Ty Conklin. Sure, they could have dragged the Oilers to the playoffs, but Rolison put them that much closer to a playoff spot, and almost a Stanley Cup too, but I will not get into that at this point. But the Oilers, again, they don't ask how. I mean, ugly wins are better than ugly losses, and you'll see a lot more of those trending towards the end of the regular season, or also in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We saw that a lot last year, where the Oilers, fire wagon, run and gun hockey wasn't exactly the reason why they won hockey games. Of course, they won 1-0 against the LA Kings, 2-1 against the Dallas Stars. I think they only had 10 shots in that win as they clinched the Western Conference. So it's nice to see the Oilers, again, play different styles of hockey and not let the other team dictate the pace of play. If the Oilers want to play a rope-a-dope style where they let the other team think they're trying to trick the Oilers into playing their game, that is exactly what the Oilers want to do. A bit of a 4D chess move. But that is it for the game recap. But what's next for the Oilers? Yes, the Oilers have a day off today before getting back into the swing of things tomorrow on home ice. Hopefully Stuart Skinner will be back in the lineup. Congrats to him. He had his second child, and that's the reason why he wasn't in the Oiler lineup last night. But the Oilers taking on the original 6 Detroit Red Wings at 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain on Sportsnet at Rogers Place. It always should be a good one with Steve Yzerman in the Yzer plan. Not really too sure what direction he's going in with this Wings team, but again, should be a very interesting one to watch. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game. What do you think about Evan Bouchard? I mean, he's a very polarizing figure to Oiler fan bases. It doesn't seem like there's a middle opinion on him. You either love him or you completely hate him. So let me know down in the comments, and also make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, folks. Take care. I'm Matt.